Kaha the Kea was flying around Northern.
Hey everyone, my name's Craig Smith, the author of Kaha the Kea, singer-songwriter as well. Thanks for coming to the link. We're very lucky. I'm outside the Kiwi birdlife park here in Queenstown, which is my hometown, and we've been lucky enough to be allowed to go and interview Nic Kunzmann, who's the wildlife manager here. So come on in and let's learn something.
Kaha the Kea.
Hi Nicole.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you so much for agreeing to the interview.
No problem, thank you for coming. I like your shirt today.
I wore it for the Keas.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Now you have some Kea for us here
Yes,
today,
we
eh?
do. We've got 2 Kea and they're just over this way.
Fantastic, thank
Great.
you. So here he is, he's the star of the show.
He is.
This is TC.
This is TC the Kea.
Yeah.
And, he came to us from Trouble Cone Ski Field.
Right.
A while ago now. He had actually been hit by a car, which is why you can see he's got that damaged wing.
Yeah.
We'd hoped it would heal up well enough so that he could be released back to the wild, but yeah, it was pretty badly damaged.
He can't fly at all
He
now.
can't fly, but Kea do spend a lot of their time on the ground.
Yeah.
So he can get around this enclosure really well. There's nowhere he can't get to. We used to try and put food in other places for our flighted bird Casey over there to get to, but we figured out that he can get everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And Casey's from Tiana.
Yep, so she was transferred into us from the Tiana Wildlife Centre
Right.
down in Tiana.
G'day TC. Well, he's a bit wary of me, isn't he?
Yeah, he definitely they recognise people really well.
He's
and
friends with you.
Yeah, known him for a while.
Yeah. They're so beautiful, eh? They're just amazing
amazing
birds.
birds.
Yeah, that green, I love that green.
Yeah, and then under their wings they've got the bright orange, which is amazing to see, that flash of colour when they do lift their wings.
Yeah, he's off.
Yeah.
What kind of bird are Kea?
So Kea are parrots. So there's lots of parrots around the world, cockatoos and things in Australia, and the macaws in South America, and New Zealand. Our Kea are related to things like the Kaka and the Kakapo.
Right, so our native Kaka and Kakapo.
Yeah.
Kaka are really close, eh?
Yeah, so the 3 of them make up the family Nestor in Nestoridae in New Zealand, and we think it's quite a cool name because Nestor was the Greek. He was a counsel to the Greeks in Troy, and he was a very wise person.
Yeah.
It's
And
a great name.
the Maori believe that he oh there he goes. Hey mate. So the Maori believe he's the guardian of the mountains.
That's right, and they also thought that they would look after them on their hunts for pounamu down here. So
now I did a bit of research on the net. Do you know what a gathering, like you know how you've got a flock of sheep and a herd of cows?
Yeah.
Do you know what a gathering of Kea are called?
No, I don't think I've come across that one.
It's called a circus.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a great name for them. They're often called the clowns of the bird world. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to talk a little bit about their diet, because you've got carnivores who eat meat and then herbivores who eat vegetation.
Yeah.
And what are Keas?
So Keas are omnivores like most of us. So they eat a little bit of protein in their diet and a lot of plant matter and things.
So like humans, eat a little bit of meat and ideally lots of fruits and vegetables.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes even when we eat too much meat and not enough fruit and vegetables, we get in trouble.
It's not great for us.
Yeah, and so it's the same with the Kea, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're what we call opportunistic feeders, and that means they'll just look for anything, and they can eat most things as they come across them.
So why is it that we don't want to feed them our food? Because I go up in the ski season and see them running around. I do see people feeding them sometimes, and I know that's a no-no, but explain why that's not a good thing.
So a lot of the food that people buy up the mountain, it's food that's not great for us, things like hot chips and hot dogs and things.
Yeah.
And so it's not good for the birds either. They're usually high in salt and high in sugar and really processed, and food that they wouldn't come across in the wild. So it's not good for them in general, but it also creates that reliance. So once they figure out that there's a free meal somewhere, why would they bother spending an hour or so rooting through the snow looking for grubs and roots if there's a free hot meal that probably tastes really good to them, just like us.
Well, I'm the same. I shouldn't eat some of the stuff that I eat, but I know it's times 10 for these guys because they're just so not used to this type of food that we eat.
And some food, like chocolate, we're not allowed to feed dogs chocolate. It
Right.
kills them. Does the same
Stops
for
it.
Kea. So
Yeah.
so that's another thing that people might not realise, that people love to feed the birds, but they're probably not realising the damage they're causing.
Right, so there you go, team. Don't feed the Kea.
Yeah,
It's as simple
it's
as
really
that.
tempting, but don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. These guys are a mountain parrot.
Yeah.
They live well above the tree line in some cases, eh?
So they're the world's only alpine parrot, and,
Right.
only found here on the South Island as well.
I've been doing a little bit of search on the internet,
Yeah.
and I was quite surprised where I found out how Keas nest, because
Yeah.
most birds, they live up in the trees. Yeah.
Yeah, so Kea spend a lot of their time on the ground. That includes nesting. So we've got a wee little craggy spot under our rocks there, and
Yeah.
that would make a perfect Kea nest. They often hang out in there. So they'll look for little crevices in the rocks, or
Yeah.
even little caves and things like that, and they'll hunker down and nest in there. And some of them are really hard to get to. The Kea Conservation Trust do some monitoring of nests, and they have a really hard time getting in and out sometimes.
Yeah, but for some of the predators that were introduced into New Zealand, it's not so hard to get to
Yeah,
them. eh?
unfortunately, it makes it really easy for a predator because they
'Cause they're
don't
on the
even have to
ground.
climb a tree.
Right.
And with Kea, it's especially bad for them because they generally only have one entry and exit point. So if a stoat sticks its head down, there's nowhere for the female or the chicks to go.
So they're trapped inside. They can't exit themselves.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So they're not only killing the babies and the eggs, but sometimes
Yeah,
even
the
the parents
adults,
as
yeah,
well.
which is really bad.
In fact, stoats and ferrets and such alike, and possums are a terrible predator for the Keas. But possibly the worst of all is us.
Yeah, we've done a lot of damage to Kea over
Yeah.
the years.
Like I was reading right up until the 1970s that there was a bounty
That's right. You used
that
to
you
get
could paid.
got paid to bring in Kea beaks, and 150,000 Kea were killed that way, and that was right up till 1971.
And that was a government thing.
Yeah.
That was organised by the government.
Yeah.
And it's pretty crazy. I know things are turning a corner. Obviously
Yeah.
now we've woken up to a lot of environmental stuff that was done to ourselves and to our environment, to our native flora and fauna.
Yeah.
And so now they're protected. In fact, in 1986.
Yeah, that's
is that right?
under the Wildlife Act. So they are fully protected now out in the wild. You can't harm a Kea anymore.
Right. And so, but obviously the damage was done, 150,000 Keas,
Yeah.
and now there's about how many left? In the
We
wild?
don't know for sure, but we estimate the numbers between 1,000 and 5,000. So there's not many left at all when you
Right.
consider how many there were. People often see groups of Kea, especially around up in the ski fields in Arthur's Pass and on the way to Milford Sound. And those Kea, if you look closely, you'll see they've got a little bit of yellow just
Yep.
above the nostrils and around the eyes, and that actually means that they're juvenile Kea. And juvenile Kea are a bit like human teenagers. They like to hang out and be a bit naughty.
Right,
so,
yeah.
so those are our we call them little gangs of juvenile Kea, and they hang out and they have fun. And then once the yellow fades, that's when they've matured into an adult and they disperse. And so people see these groups of Kea and they think, oh, there's loads of them, but it's not actually true because it's just a very small part of the population.
So there's not as many as maybe some people think. My understanding is that they can live up to 20, sometimes even 30 years old if everything goes perfectly well.
Yeah, that's right.
But then of course we've got the predation.
There's a lot of threats to them out there. But in captivity, we've had birds that have lived to be 50. So they are long-lived parrots if you give them the chance.
Yeah. So there's social and teenage sort of groups.
Yeah.
Kind of like humans.
Yeah.
And then as they get a little bit older, they pair off a little bit more and become a
Yeah.
little bit more solitary.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, like
cool.
humans.
Yeah. So this is my favourite question. It's my second last question for you. How smart are these guys?
They're incredible. They're so clever. They scientists have done loads of tests on Kea, and they reckon they've got the problem-solving ability of like a 5-year-old child, and they're one of the smartest parrots in the world. They learn by watching each other, and they do something that's a bit unusual, is that they help each other. So scientists have come up with all sorts of cool puzzles and things, and so like one Kea might need to pull this stick while another Kea is doing this, and the third Kea is getting the food.
So
Like,
working
it's
in a team is
yeah,
obviously,
it's incredible.
yeah.
And I've heard of Kea that will actually enter a bus. Like I had a friend who used to drive to Milford, and the Kea one would stand guard and one would get in the bus, and they'd start rummaging through all the bags, which is funny, but it's really
That's
it's
amazing.
really bad for them to be
And of course
doing
it's their
that.
curiosity that's also gotten them into a little bit of trouble because when we build, we're using things like lead top nails in the top of our houses and our buildings.
Yeah.
And they're curious and they go and bite on them, and apparently lead's quite sweet. Is that right?
Yeah, so
The taste?
for birds, lead is something really yummy apparently, and unfortunately it poisons them. And a lot of our backcountry huts that were built a long time ago, they were built using a lot of lead, and so we're finding more and more kea. Again, they're just curious and they like the taste of it, and they're getting poisoned by lead out there.
Yeah. So what we can do is we can replace the ones that are there, the nails. Pretty simple thing, I would think.
Yeah.
And then
Just
obviously in the
remove it,
future, we stop building stuff using that sort of material.
Yeah, absolutely.
And finally, this is the most important question, Nikki. How can the kids out there listening on the internet help kea? Obviously there's DOC, which is Department of Conservation, and they do a fantastic job. And then there's also Forest and Bird, they do a fantastic job. But there's a specific organisation out there called the Kea Conservation Trust. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
So the Kea Conservation Trust have got a great website. It's got a lot of really interesting information about kea, and there's also a really cool feature on there where you can report any wild kea sightings that you have. So if you're out tramping and you see some kea, if you just remember where you saw them and how many, and if you're close enough, some of them might even have leg bands on, so if you can record what those look like, all of it's really important information for the trust, because they're doing a lot of surveys. They're trying to figure out how many kea we have and where they are, and they're doing a lot of work to try and help our kea. So.
Hey, fantastic. Well, listen, thank you very much for inviting us in here today.
No problem.
It's just been wonderful to come in here and get some more information.
Yeah,
so thank you very
no
much,
problem.
Nick.
I'm glad we could share our beautiful birds with you.
Well, on behalf of Nick, myself, TC and Casey here in Queenstown, I want to say thank you very much for coming to the link. I hope you've learned something today. I definitely did. If you want to learn more, you just go to www.keaconservation.co.nz, and let's make sure that these little guys are around for a few more years to come.
Kaha the Kea was flying around, gnawed on my belt and my trousers fell down. I was upset, my bare bottom was getting wet, but Kaha the Kea just laughed. Kaha the Kea was flying to school, flashing his colors and trying to look cool. All of his friends said, "You look like a fool, bro." But Kaha the Kea just laughed.